sorry. In case anybody comes in, I type, this is being recorded in the chat box. Okay, so today we're going to talk about homework 1 for IO519, the Masters in IO Stats class. And I have the homework instructions pulled up here. And the basic premise of this homework is that you need to show the TA that you know how to clean your data in Excel and set up your database in SPSS, and that you can sort in both of them, and that you can also answer these questions. Okay, and I see a question about making someone the presenter, but I have to be the presenter to show my screen, which is a good reminder that I need to show my screen. Okay, so I'm reading from this what we need to do, and the first thing is that we need to clean the Excel data file to remove any cases that do not have usable compensation data. So I'm going to pull up the homework, and the compensation data is this average base pay. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to sort. I'm going to click in this column, anywhere in this column, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to click on the data tab up here. And then I'm going to click A to Z sort. Okay. Now, when I scroll down, you'll see all of a sudden there's missing, there's an A. I made sure there weren't any zeros by sorting it first. So I'm going to select all of these. And you can right click, or I think I'm going to I'm going to click delete. And actually, so see, I missed some here. I missed these. So let me make sure that I delete those. Okay, so now I look and I see that all of these rows have usable data. And my first question is, how many of them are there? And so we go to row 180, but then we need to subtract the first row, which doesn't have any information, but it's just our header row. So the answer to this question is that we have 179. So clean the Excel file, remove cases. Do not count the first row if it does not have data. How many usable rows? So I'm going to say 179, just to make a note to myself. Okay, the next question is, what is the lowest average base pay? So I'm going to go back to the Excel sheet. Give me just a second. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back up. So the lowest average base pay for all jobs, because it doesn't say anything about the jobs, the lowest average base pay would be this 11,856, and the highest would be 157,716. So I'm just going to write in here. Actually, I'm going to write here first. 157, 716. This is also known as your range, in case that seems familiar to any of you. I'm going to go back to the top. 11,856. Okay, so the next question is, how many employees are in the human resources job group with the human resources industrial relations manager as their job title in this data set? Note, you may have to expand the cell or wrap text to see the entire job title. So let's go to human resource job group. Now here, we're going to use filter because that's going to be the best way. We could sort. You could do it both ways, but I think the easiest way to be filter. So I'm going to click this filter button that's under data. And I'm going to select human resources. So I'm going to unselect everything and go to HR. Okay. Now, here I could select or I can sort. So I'm going to just sort. And I'm going to bring this out so we can see all of it because the note said you need to may expand or wrap text. So the next question is Human Resources Industrial Relations Manager is their job title, which is these right here. But what we want to be careful of is we want to look and see how many employees. So this could be more than one, so it's not just the number of rows, but the number here. And when I select that, it tells me the sum is 7 and the count is 7. So we have 7 of those. And then it asks how many administrative assistant employees are accounted for in the entire data set. So I'm going to take this filter off, and remember this funnel tells you that I've filtered here, and this tells you this arrow that I've sorted here. So I'm going to go back to select all. And then I want all job groups, and then I'm looking for a job title. So I have select all. It doesn't really matter if it's ascending or not. But what I want to take this off, and I just want admin assistant. Okay. Now here you'll see we have 1 in one row, 1 in another row, 2 in the third row, and 2 in the fourth row. So instead of saying we have 4 people here, we actually have 6, and the sum of 6 tells you this here. So the answer would be 6. The next question, well, actually, let me stop here and unmute everybody. And I see we have some new people coming in. Let me unmute everyone and just see, are there any questions before I go on? Okay. All right. So okay. So how many project engineer employees are accounted for in this data set? So we're going to do the same thing. Unselect this, and now we're going to go to project engineer. Total number of employees. Again, we have some numbers in the column that total up to 8, even though there's 3 rows. So I'm going to say 8. So question number 7 says, look at all 3 positions together: industrial relations manager, admin assistant, and project engineers. Are there any abnormal compensation values? Okay, so I'm going to go back here, and I already have one of them selected, but I want to select admin assistant. Human resources, industrial relation. So I have all 3 jobs here now. Okay, so I'm looking at this data and I feel like, yeah, okay, so I'm looking at this data, and first I'm looking at it by job. So let's look at the admin assistants. We have 11, 40, 43, 50. These 3 are close together, and this one is odd, the 11,000, almost 12,000. But then we see, well, they're only working 15 hours per week. So if I double this, which is the equivalent of 30 hours, it's 23, it's still pretty low, so 30 hours. If I were to triple it, which would be 45, it's closer, but it's still pretty low. So I might ask the question, why is this this admin assistant so much lower? Because if they're the same job and they're the same job title, the salary shouldn't be too different. Okay, now I'm going to erase that because we've got to clean this up later. Okay, now let's go to the next job, human resources, industrial relation manager. We've got 55, 60, 65, 70, 76, 80, and then 97. So it ranges from 50 to 97. I don't see anything that looks odd, but I might mention that there's quite a wide range here, 55 or 50 to 97. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's 55 to 97. Which might be okay and account for tenure. It might be somebody new, it might be somebody that's been there 20 years. But note that that range is there. Now the next job, engineer, ranges from 34 to 101. And that is just really odd. And then the other thing is I look, oh, this 97 is also working 50 hours, so that could be why. This person is working 55 hours, so 15 more than the others, and being paid 2/3 less, essentially. So that would be a problem. And I know I mentioned in class to some of you that maybe this person was brought on a long time ago and their salary has not been kept current with cost of living raises. But this is definitely a problem, and I would want to look into this. So I would write about this in your conclusions. Okay. So now Maria wants you to turn in an Excel file, cleaned, formatted nicely, filtered by the 3 jobs of interest, and sorted by pay, leaving the filters on. Okay, so let's look at cleaned and formatted nicely. Cleaned means we have all the missing data gone. But formatted nicely, we see this looks bad. Some are in italics, some are center justified, some are not. So I'm going to center justify this column. For this column, well, first thing I'm going to take the italics off of this column. This column is talking about money. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to right click and go to Format Cells. I'm going to say this is currency. I don't want it to show any decimal places, but I want this symbol here, the $sign. Okay, so that looks like money. That's what that is. I might center this. I might actually center all of the numbers. Sometimes for the text, it's better to read that from the left. So I might make that consistent and make all the numbers centered. Now this is colored here, but I'm going to take that off. I think that's too dark. And I only want to do the cells of interest. I also want to make this font larger. It's really small. And this wraps around. This looks weird. So I need to make this a bit bigger. This also doesn't look good. Now, I don't like the way it sits at the bottom. I think it should be centered. So I'm going to select all of this and right click. And again, I'm going to go to Format Cells. And before we worked in here, but now we're going to go to Alignment. This is where you would wrap the text, which has already been done. You can merge, but see the horizontal alignment? I'm going to select that to be center. Oh, that's already done. I'm sorry. The vertical alignment is at the bottom. I'm going to select that to be center. And that looks a little bit better, but then again, that looks odd. This needs more space. Okay, so that looks much nicer. And I would also say this font's 12. It looks really small to me. At least always turn in anything that's a size 12 font. People find it really annoying if you turn it in with tiny font that they can't read. This is really small, but it does say that it's 12, so I'll leave it. Okay, so that's cleaned and formatted. What else does she want us to do? Filter by the 3 jobs of interest, which we did. Sort by pay. Okay, so I'm going to sort by pay, which is going to mess up the job title. They won't be together anymore, but that's the way she wants it. I can go into the filter and select ascending. What else? Okay, so this is ready. You should save this file as your homework data with your name and homework 1. I'm going to save as I'm going to save this to my desktop and close because we know we can't open SPSS if the Excel is open. So we have to make sure that that's closed. Next, she wants us to import this into SPSS and set it up correctly. So I'm going to pull up SPSS. File, open, data. Okay. And I have to switch this down here to say Excel so I can see the file. I'm going to open it up. And it's going to ask me which worksheet. And there's only one, so we're going to select that. We're going to sort by job group and job title, but we want to set up the database correctly. Okay, so here we're going to go to variable view, and basically you want to make sure this looks nice. I might change this to number of employees. Whoops. And here, let me see, exempt, non-exempt. I would take this out of the title. Union is yes, no. Ideally, you would switch all of these to numbers. Degree of match. And I might change this to say hours. Okay, so that looks better. And then I might even change this to say job number. So that looks good. Now, I want to check. This is text, text, text. This is numeric. The number of employees, that's a scale. You'll learn that next week. String, string, string. So these are all, I can't do any analysis with these because they are text and not numbers. If I were working further with this, I would convert this to numeric and change that. Typical work week hours is numeric and average base pay is numeric. These are scale, these are correct. So everything here is set up correctly. Whoops. Now I'm going to go to the data view, and we want to sort this by job group and job title. So I'm going to say data, sort cases, job group first, job title second. That's the way it's going to do it. If you put it in a different order, it will sort it the other way. So this is now ready. All you have to do is save this to upload. So the next thing is you want to create the report in Word. So we're going to go to week 1 where I got all of this. You're going to click on your sample template report. So you can at least see what it should look like. It should have a title. So I might say this manufacturing compensation report for Illinois. You know, you can make up any sort of title here. The introduction, you could just call it the introduction. The body of the report, you could say information on jobs. There's, you know, lots of ways that you can say that. The most important thing is you want to use bold, underline, bullet points to answer the questions, and you want to make the answers stand out in a way that glancing at the page gives you the answers. And then you could say this is a summary, conclusion, but here's where you're going to talk about what is normal, not normal, things you think should be looked into further, recommendations. Any of that stuff is going to go here. So you have 3 sections, but the answers that I've written here in red, you want to rewrite this in a way that you know, so you could, for example, the lowest average base pay is 11,856. That could be one bullet point. So what I want you to do is creatively think of the best way to communicate these answers within the body of your report. Okay. Okay. Also, remember to look in the syllabus. There's several pages at the end of the syllabus, which I didn't print out for class, but electronically it's there, to follow the professional formatting and writing guidelines. And then you submit all three files into Canvas. I know this says eCollege, but it goes into Canvas. And here is a key to the variables that you've been working with. Okay, so at this point, you have all the information to answer the questions and do your homework. So let me open it up for any questions you have. So you're unmuted. And if you don't want to be in the recording, you can feel free to type me a question. So is this clear?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. Okay, well, if there's no questions, then I'll end the session and I will send out the recording.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Thank you guys for coming. Have a good holiday weekend.
Yeah, you too.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.